Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of NCompass Live. I am your host, Krista Porter, here at the Nebraska Library Commission. NCompass Live is the Library Commission's weekly webinar series where we cover a variety of topics that may be of interest to libraries. We broadcast the show live every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, but if you're unable to join us on Wednesdays, that's fine. We do record the show as we are doing today, and it will be available for you to watch later at your convenience in our show archives. And I will show you at the end of today's show where you can access all of the show archives. Both the live show and the recordings are free and open to anyone to watch. So please do share with your friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, anyone you think might be interested in any of the topics we have on NCompass Live. For those of you not from Nebraska, the Nebraska Library Commission is the state agency for libraries. So we are similar to your whatever state library. So we provide training and consulting and grants and databases and resources to all types of libraries in the state. So you may find shows on NCompass Live for all types of libraries. Public K-12, universities, corrections, museums, historical societies, archives, et cetera, et cetera. Really, our only criteria is that it's something to do with libraries in any type, any shape or form of library. We have Nebraska Library Commission staff that do come on the show sometimes to talk about programs and services and things we're doing here through the Library Commission, but we also bring in guest speakers, and that is what we have today. Joining us this morning is Kelly O'Day. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
Good morning. And she's from the Yankton Community Library, just our neighbor to the north in Yankton, South Dakota. And she is going to talk about some of the awesome programming and community partnerships they have at their library. So I will hand it over to you, Kelly, to take away and tell us all about everything you're doing up there.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista. I'm really excited for this opportunity. I'm really proud of our library for coming up with these programs. So I hope it will benefit some folks in the audience.
Yeah.
All right. So a little bit about me. This is a Christmas photo that my mom and I took a couple of years ago to support the Siouxland Humane Society in Sioux City, Iowa. My dog, Neve, not a fan of the Grinch. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, as well as a certificate in museum and archive studies from the University of South Dakota. And as a part of my certificate program, I interned at the Siouxland Heritage Museums in the Education and Collections Department. And then in August of 2020, the most interesting interview for a part-time position that I've ever had in my life happened right here at this park shelter at Riverside Park in Yankton. Of course, it was still in 2020. We were social distancing, and they were hiring for a part-time circulations assistant at the Yankton Community Library. So that is where I interviewed. 6 months later, I was hired on as a full-time library assistant. So in total, I've worked just over 5.5 years here at Yankton. Because of our library size, our staff members, as you can see, often wear a variety of hats. So my primary roles consist of cataloging new materials, repairing books, finding and applying for grants, programming, and then overdrive collection development.
Oh, nice.
So to explain this photo, in 2020, we received an ALA grant for libraries transforming communities.
Oh, right. Nice.
Yeah, it was very exciting. We were going to make the library more accessible for folks with physical disabilities, and we chose to use the money to remodel our family accessible bathroom, and it is much easier to navigate now. All right, the purpose of our presentation today, community partnerships. I'm going to talk about 3 of our programs that we've had success with at the library and they were successful because of the community partnerships that we developed. We'll take a look at neighborhood walking tours, adult field trips, and planning with purpose, which inspired, of course, the title for this presentation. These low to no cost programs were possible through several community partnerships and helped our program participants develop a better understanding about the resources and services available in our community. I'm sure public library folks are familiar with the donation letter. Every spring, we send out a donation letter to businesses asking for them to support library programming. They can do this in the form of monetary, supply, or prize donations. And this request is usually non-specific to make donating more accessible for everyone, especially smaller businesses. We also follow up these phone calls or these letters with phone calls, and some of our staff excel at them. And if you can't tell, I'm bringing it up because I struggle. Especially when the person on the other end wants to know exactly how much we want. If any of you are familiar with Jim Henson's Labyrinth, you may remember this scene where the main character learns how she asks questions determines how helpful the answer she receives is going to be. And I think about this every time I am making one of these follow-up phone calls.
59.
Do you know where the door to the labyrinth is?
Oh, maybe.
Well, where is it?
Oh, little. What? 60. Oh,
I said, where is it?
where is what?
The door.
What door?
It's hopeless asking you anything.
Not if you ask the right questions.
How do I get into the labyrinth?
Ah, now that's more like it. You get in there.
So this is one of my favorite movies. I'm a bit of a nerd, so I really was excited to be able to include it. I found it's easier to ask and to get buy-in to business requests when you quote unquote ask the right question. And many of our organizations in our community are overwhelmed with donation requests each year. So for me, asking them to support the library by participating in programming is a great way for organizations and businesses to give back to the library and their community with their time and expertise rather than monetary donations when funding might be strapped. Just a quick note on the timeline of these program series. Chronologically, they occurred neighborhood walking tours, followed by planning with purpose, and then adult field trips. For this presentation, it made more sense to talk about the neighborhood walking tours and the adult field trips closer together, just because of the program similarities, and then we will end the presentation today with planning with purpose. I've described the programs we're covering today as low to no cost, but I want to be transparent about what I mean by that. The promotional materials for us were really the only cost aside from staff time to implement the programs. You probably already have a budget for paper supplies, but we also use Canva to create promotional materials. As a nonprofit, our Friends of the Library group provides access to the subscription level of Canva, but you can access the basic Canva for free. But if you do have a Friends of the Library group, this may be an option for your library to consider for subscription level access.
I love Canva. I use it all the time here.
It's so great. And the subscription level is awesome because it seemed like every element or feature I wanted to use was premium. So having the subscription eliminates cutting your choices. And then we did not pay for any of the presenters for these programs. All right, so we're going to get into the neighborhood walking tours. This is a great way for your community to be involved in library programming, and this isn't just limited to businesses or organizations. Staff at the library had already been running these programs long before I was hired on here. But the tours I have helped plan have been inspired by some historic homes of Yankton, Dakota Territory by Dorothy Jenks. After locating a historic home or structure within a neighborhood, my assistant director, Linda, and I typically look around at what other structures or organizations are in the same neighborhood. Obviously, use the resources you already have in your library, but if you don't have to do all the research yourself, don't. So these are some photos of my dad. He was always excited to stop and explore old buildings in rural South Dakota towns. And it seemed like every time I was in a car with him, he would tell me about businesses that used to be in older buildings, or who used to own that land where he worked as a ranch hand growing up. And I have to admit, when I was growing up, I didn't listen often, was kind of annoyed. But I understand now that people like my dad carry important community history with them. You likely have people in your community who also have this historical knowledge about your town, or people who are willing to do a little bit of research for their own knowledge, especially if it's about their own home or their business. As an intern at the Siouxland Heritage Museums in Sioux Falls, I led a neighborhood walking tour around McKinnon Park. It's a beautiful neighborhood. As the guide, I had a script that somebody from the museum had written for me. It had excellent historical and structural information, but smaller libraries may not have the time or the resources to do this in-depth research for one tour, let alone multiple tours, depending on the size of your community. Focus on the history you can find about structures, include information about previous owners. It was also interesting for our groups to hear about projects current owners had done or planned to do. For this program series, the only costs we had were the promotional posters that we hung up in the library, as well as flyers with information about our tour stops that we handed out for each tour. This is what attendance looked like across these programs. We did not have one in October of 2023. Typically, we tried to limit these to 15 to 25 people, just so that our presenters didn't have to yell and we didn't have to worry about AV equipment. We usually start shaping the tours based on historic homes from Dorothy Jenks's book or other known historic buildings in Yankton. As the first capital of Dakota Territory, Yankton has a lot of history to explore. For this program series, we primarily focused on historic aspects of these locations. And then we're going to talk in a little bit about adult field trips where we look at both historic and newer locations. In addition to historic properties, we've featured buildings from the local school district, churches, small businesses and organizations, as well as Mount Marty University. The bridge in this photo is a neat feature from one of our neighborhoods. For this particular tour, we started at an elementary school that was scheduled to be closed, and the option to cross this bridge actually influenced our direction that we took for this tour. It was also a really nice photo op. I would encourage you to take a look at the structures in your community. Do you have footpaths? Do you have sculptures, or maybe interesting or old-looking homes? For example, this house was built in 1878 by Sanford B. Colson, the manager of the Missouri River Transportation Company. It's reportedly haunted, and I love it because it looks like Herman and Lily Munster are going to come out any minute.
It does. That's an amazing design on that house. Yeah.
I love this house, and the owners have taken such great care of it. I think one of the most common questions we receive when we ask homeowners to be on our tours is if we have to come into their homes,
Mm.
which no, we do not. Entry is not an expectation when folks are on our tours. For most homeowners that we visited, our tour group gathered around the front of the house, either on the sidewalk or sometimes in the front lawn. While the homeowner spoke to the group about the house's history, neat features, or projects they had done to the structure. One homeowner from another location, also a beautiful old house like this one, shared that they had found a hiding space in one of their main stair railings where
Oh.
previous homeowners had left them notes about their home. So that was pretty cool. Some homeowners, goodness, did invite us in. We were able to go into the Colson house, and our group was super respectful, but they also understood that entry was not an expected part of the tour. However, our groups were typically allowed to enter businesses and churches that we stopped at in other tours. If homeowners were not available on the tour dates, we had some occasions where they would share the information with us, and either Linda or I would share the information with our group, the location. The home in this particular photo, the homeowner had agreed to be a part of the tour, but had to go out of town last minute. So she sent us the information that she had planned to share with us, and Linda is here sharing the information with our tour group. This is also a great option to offer if someone does have knowledge of their home's history and isn't comfortable or interested in talking to a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
We typically lead these tours in August, September, and October. It's still hot out, unfortunately, but we have sunlight longer in the evening. So to help manage the heat, we usually secure our handouts to paint sticks so that our tour participants could use them as fans. I did not have a great photo of them, but you can kind of see how some of the folks in this photo are holding those.
Yeah, because I saw that it looked like they're holding, fans, but having that information on them at the same time, that's an awesome idea. Wow.
So I also noticed a couple of people, the backsides were blank. A couple of people would use them to write notes about the locations that we visited. So that was really cool too. So we already had the cardstock for these on hand, but our local Sherwin-Williams paint store donated the paint sticks that we use to secure them to use as fans. All right. You might also look for structures that have been adapted from their original purpose. For example, we currently have a women's boutique in a building that was originally a WNAX gas station. This was one of 500 fair price gas stations opened by D.B. Gurney in the 1930s to help local farmers. We are planning a tour for this summer, and we're looking at this building as one of our potential locations. We have previously partnered with the Open Gate, and they offered a discount for people who showed their library cards at checkout during Library Card Sign-Up Month.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that design of that building too. Another one just so interesting and different looking.
It is fascinating how people adapt the insides as well. Like, I don't know. It's very cool how they have things displayed on the garage doors inside.
Mm-hmm.
So previously, we asked for a partnership that involved the business's profits by providing the discount as one way to encourage people to sign up for a library card, or for those with library cards already to take advantage of one of the many benefits of having a card. During that partnership, the Open Gate benefited from the advertising we did for library programming and Library Card Sign-Up Month, and they had more traffic through their door because of the arrangement that supported the library. Now, by approaching them to participate in our walking tour, there's no monetary cost to the open gate, but by sharing their time with our tour group, they still get the benefit of the library advertising for the programming, plus the introduction of a group of people to their business who may not have visited them previously. Churches are often housed in interesting structures and have often interesting histories. We actually share a parking lot with the United Church of Christ, photographed on the left. They've been great neighbors. This church is the host of a weekly meal, community meal. Different organizations in and around Yankton volunteer each week to cook and serve this for our community. And then on the right, when we stopped at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we learned that another religious organization used to call this structure home. I unfortunately did not look up who it used to be, but the inside also very beautiful, not very wooden, which is not what I expected with the stone exterior. Small businesses usually respond very positively to requests for walking tours and field trips because it's a way for the business to support the library and for the library to uplift the small business. Our tours may be putting people in touch with these businesses for the first time, which provides the business more visibility from participating in library programming. On the left is a small business in our Meridian district called the Lily Crest. This was a fun tour stop because the location is supposed to be haunted. The owner was kind enough to share photo and video evidence that she had compiled over the years. And then on the right, we stopped at our local VFW post 791, and our presenter, the man in the cap with holding the frame, is one of our county commissioners. So that was also a fun partnership with them. In my experience, a fun way to end the tours when possible was to spend some time at the small businesses we visited. For this particular tour, photographed here, we ended the tour at the former Elks Lodge, which is the larger building, which is now a private residence for a local business owner. We were very surprised to be invited inside to see the interior. So it was interesting to see how they adapted it into a home. And then we traveled through the building into Checkers Sports Bar and Grill next door, which was very cool. I don't think many people on our tour realized those two locations were connected. At the conclusion of the tour, several of our members elected to stay and have supper at Checkers, which was a great opportunity to build community and also give back to the business by patronizing it. There have been other similar opportunities for other neighborhood walking tours, but this particular one was my favorite. And then just as a disclaimer, library staff were not on the clock during these times. I am perfectly happy to eat fried pickles on my own time. Okay. We are animal lovers here at the library.
We do have a question that came in about the field trips.
I love it.
That I'll throw in right now before we move on to your next one. You talked about the library card sign up week and doing it, or sign up month and things doing that. How do you sign up people for library cards when they're actually there on the tour? How do you do that if they don't already have one?
No, so that is totally separate from the tours.
Okay.
For library card sign up month, we encourage people to sign up for their cards at the library. Sometimes we go to our local farmers market, but upon sign up, we give them a list of local businesses we have partnered with that offer either discounts or small gifts. if they show their library cards when they go in.
Oh, okay. I was wondering because I know some places like some libraries, like well, you said going to the farmers market, have like tablets and can sign people up on the fly. They don't have to come to the library. That you can do it when you're elsewhere.
Right. We are always looking for more convenient ways to sign people up when we are out and about.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So our adult field trips, after a very slow start, have taken our library programming by storm. This started in 2024 as a one-time field trip to Niobrara, Nebraska, for our summer reading program, and it has since expanded into these monthly field trips to different locations in Yankton.
Nice.
My colleagues Jeremy and Liz organize and lead these monthly tours, except this month I get the honor of joining Jeremy at our municipal airport, which I'm ecstatic about. So this is a list of locations that we visited in the first year. Many of these locations featured on these field trips are places that the general public probably doesn't get access to typically. Previously, we had partnered with Heartland Humane Society and Winston Ray Funeral Homes for Planning with Purpose. So this was an easy couple of this was an easy couple of options to start this series with. House of Brands and the Red Hydrant Inn and Playground are regular donors to our donation requests. So again, it was nice to have them support the library in another way. The other locations on this list were new partnerships for us in 2025. This is a photo outside of our Masonic temple. People were really excited to be able to get to go in and see the inside. It's gorgeous.
Mm.
So this is what attendance looks like across the programs for 2025. I would note that some of these locations are larger and have a larger staff, so that does affect the number of people that they can accommodate. So I would definitely take that into consideration when you're looking at these attendance numbers.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to ask, what's so exciting about the water plant that so many people? I mean, I'm sure it's great. That's why you've got it on your field trips, but that's so.
Right. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, especially my shock. We are revisiting the water plant again this year, I think in May, because of the lengthy wait list and high demand.
Wow.
Wild. Was not on my radar. So again, the costs for these programs were low. Printing costs for promotional materials and handouts in the library were really all. Requirements we decided on early were registration in order to limit the size of the group, and that transportation would not be provided by the library. Of course, registration depends on the location. We also noticed with our field trips, there was an overlap of folks who had attended the neighborhood walking tours. So people are curious about their community, and you might find yourself surprised about the places people want to learn about. Like we were just talking about the water plant. So with the rise of popularity of this program, registration often fills up quickly. Our registration this month for the airport filled up within the second day of April. Most of our tours accommodate 15 to 20 people. We had 27 at the water plant. The water plant was an easy partnership for us because our library is a part of the city of Yankton. So it was simple to partner with another department. I would encourage you to explore opportunities if your library is a part of a larger entity. For example, our library partners with Parks and Recreation for a number of summer reading events, and we previously partnered with Community and Economic Development for an informative house hacks program. You might find that some new partnership locations have an abundance of materials ready for tour groups. In Yankton, we have and I have to read this because it's long, the National Field Archery Association's Easton Yankton Archery Center, which is the headquarters for the NFAA, and it's also the largest archery center in the world.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yankton fun fact. The Archery Center has a permanent museum, which was great for folks to visit, and then the field trip allowed them access into spaces that normally the public would not have access to. So use the connections you've already established in your community. If there are organizations that have given monetary donations to your library one year, maybe you follow up with a request to participate with library programming in place of the monetary donation the next year. If your library is a part of a city or town like ours, connect with departments in your organization. This is also a great way to strengthen interdepartmental collaboration. Asking new organizations can be a little scary, but if you don't ask, the answer is always no. We've discovered that many of the entities we reached out to are more than happy to accommodate these tour groups. I'm going to grab a quick drink here. All right. So planning with purpose.
Okay. I do have a question that came up. It came up just after you were talking about the walking tours, but it also could apply to the adult field trips too.
Sure.
Someone wants to know, how do you set up expectations for the physical aspects of the walking tours? Do you know the mileage, the terrain beforehand, or have any accessibility considerations?
That is a great question. The first walking tour that I participated in, I don't think we were clear in the press release about the length that we would be walking. That is definitely something that we included for the following tours. We typically walk the tour ourselves, so we're able to measure about how many blocks or how many, it's usually under a mile. And then most of our programs last about an hour, maybe a little bit over. So I guess we definitely try to set those expectations before participants join. We also run a yearly cemetery walk in our municipal cemetery, and that is also difficult to predict because there are some pretty steep hills. So we try to accommodate by taking alternate paths and providing seating so that folks can take a break along the way if they need to. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah. And so most of these walking tours are in the city and in generally good sidewalk type areas. They're not like hiking in the woods or over tree branches or.
Right. These are all on paved sidewalks. We are not trying to break our ankles. We don't want anybody to break their ankles. And we walk at a pretty slow pace. We're not running to get anywhere.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
That does help. Yes.
All right. So planning with purpose. This is a very significant program series for me. End-of-life planning can be scary and overwhelming to talk about, but it's a necessary part of life. And my hope with this program series was to provide a welcoming place for people to come and learn and hopefully not feel so overwhelmed with the information. I asked our library director in 2022 if we could host a Death Cafe at the library. And if you aren't aware, Death Cafe is a trademarked program that is led by a facilitator and allows people a judgment-free zone to discuss death and dying in order to live a fuller life. It's not a support group, it's not a grief group, and typically there is a cake or a sweet treat for participants to snack on. And then my mom was diagnosed with small cell lung cancer in early 2023. So this is a photo of us at Hy-Vee after we ran into each other. Hy-Vee's a local grocery store. We didn't mean to coordinate our outfits, but it was always exciting to see that my mom loved and supported the Yankton Library as much as I do. My mother and I attended a death cafe at our local library in Vermilion, which is about a half an hour away from Yankton. I commuted for a while, and I think it was a really positive experience for us. But I also knew after that that I wasn't ready to host this type of a discussion. Mm-hmm. And death cafes aren't supposed to be an event where people receive information about death and dying, regardless of how good or important it is. And for this reason, having guest speakers and information materials available is actively discouraged. But I had questions. I needed more information. And thankfully, I work with a really great team, and we exist in a really great community, and everybody made this program series possible. Little Liz. So my colleague Liz, who works with the adult field trips, organized and led Planning with Purpose with me. I was the primary caregiver for my mom at the time, and Liz was invaluable in managing a larger program series like this when I didn't have the bandwidth required to make it possible by myself. Again, the costs for these programs were basically the promotional materials and then staff time on our end. When our programs were hosted in the library meeting room, we did stream and record these for our YouTube channel to make them accessible. And I'm sure many of you have experienced hiccups in programming. For starters, we didn't require registration for any of these programs, which mostly worked out for us, until we went on our senior living tour and we had 60 people. If we did it again, we would either divide these groups into smaller groups or limit the registration. We did cancel the session on burial plots just because a lot of that information had been covered with the funeral planning and in other sections of these programs. Plus, we didn't have a presenter for that one. There was not one available. This is what attendance looked like. And of course, the senior living tour with the outlier of 60 people. Attendance was really good, I think. People that attended seemed to get quite a bit out of these programs. Mm-hmm. We kicked off the series with funeral planning with Winston Ray at the library, and then later our adult field trips visited the funeral home. In April, we visited the local senior living community called Majestic Bluffs. They offer a variety of housing options from independent senior living to nursing home care to a memory care unit. It's understandable why so many people were interested. This is at Majestic Bluffs. I couldn't get everybody in the photo. So you can definitely see we had too many people. So definitely mind registration. Part of this program series was simply pulling other programs we had under one umbrella. Brandy Beach on the left is a local insurance agent who works with Medicare supplemental plans. She had previously booked the library space to provide educational programming, sessions about Medicare. So it was really easy to reach out to her and ask her to join our program series. It's important for our library presenters that we bring let me start again. It's important for our library programs when we bring in presenters for library organized events that they aren't selling anything and they are just providing information. Even though folks like Brandy can't sell anything during events like this, it does give presenters like her more visibility in the community and connection with community members of the library and through advertising for library programming. The library has previously offered estate planning sessions photographed on the right. We typically have our city attorney or a representative of Marlowe, Woodward, and Huff for this program. The room for this program is always full. Having options for different presenters for repeated programs like estate planning also allows for more involvement from your community without exhausting that partnership. Unfortunately, I was surprised that our least attended program was on Saying Goodbye to Your Pet, which was presented by Dr. Mary Green from Lewis and Clark Veterinary Clinic. We had 6 people attend, but they seem to get a lot out of the program. So if one person walks away with a better knowledge, understanding, or more confidence in the topic we discussed, I'm going to call that a win. When I say that Dr. Green went above and beyond for this presentation, she created and brought individual folders full of information. Information on caring for senior dogs and cats, how to assess quality of life, how to tell if your pet is in pain, how to help children and pet siblings cope with the loss of a pet. And on top of that, I don't remember why, but she had been hospitalized the day before this program, and she had been released that morning, and her main concern was being available for this program.
Wow. That dedication, yeah.
Like she is my vet. I admired her already, but I was just really overwhelmed with her dedication to being here for this program when she understandably could have said, I need to reschedule. I think this example in particular really highlights the desire of people in your community who want to support the library and its programming, but you just have to ask the right question.
Mm-hmm.
Programs for this series were largely designed around questions I had as a part of caring for my mom, as well as Liz's own experiences with loss and grief. But we all have questions that stem from the different seasons of our lives. So we developed a program survey for Planning with Purpose about halfway through the year to get some feedback. It felt really good to know that we had connected with so many people and connected them with information and services and made learning about end-of-life planning a little less scary. We received a lot of positive feedback, and we plan to utilize it to expand this program series when we decide to do it again.
That was a question somebody actually had, so it's interesting that you mentioned that. Someone wanted to know, because you mentioned how the pet one had low attendance. Is this some things that then you would just try again, do them again if they had low attendance, and of course if they had the high attendance, yeah. Because I mean, I always tell libraries, low attendance doesn't mean it was a failure and don't do it again. It just means that particular time, maybe not, but try again, and maybe you just, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that is definitely in consideration for us. I think it was a great program. It might have just been the timing. We often have other events going on. We, of course, notice when the weather isn't great, people don't want to leave their homes. Which is why we also streamed and recorded these programs for folks to access later if they weren't able to attend. We have a playlist on our YouTube page that is called Planning with Purpose, and you can find all of our recordings there.
Nice. And I will mention, because someone was asking about this earlier too, I was going to mention at the end, that yes, these slides will be available with the recording later as well. So you don't have to worry about trying to scribble down everything or the links or whatnot in here. You'll be able to get that afterwards.
I love that. I love being able to join webinars like this and just be able to sit and listen and access all the materials later. Okay, so we covered a lot. I'm going to try and conclude everything that we covered. Successful and vibrant programming doesn't require a huge budget. We just covered 3 low to no cost program series that were made possible through community partnerships. The people we serve with library programming gain a better knowledge of local resources and services with the library, while the library helps uplift and support folks providing those resources and services. Remember that you don't have to do all the work yourself. Using partnerships that you already have in your community, use partnerships you already have in your community, and look for opportunities to develop new ones. Like, I think it can take work to develop these partnerships, so you don't have to partner with everybody in your community at once. Do a couple at a time. You don't have to overwhelm yourself. From my experience with these programs, I can pretty confidently say that your community wants to support the library, and sometimes the only barrier to developing a partnership is simply that no one has asked yet. All right, I survived. Thank you.
Oh, you did great, of course.
Truly, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the opportunity to share these programs with you. I love my library, and I am so proud of the things that we do here.
You have some very cool, very amazing programs that you have there. Those walking tours, I just love the idea. And well, adult field trips, we need more of those.
Yes. Yes.
Should not just be realistic, only kids get to go on those. All right. So does anybody have any other questions? We still have about 5-7 minutes left in the hour. If anyone does want to ask any other questions of Kelly, type into that question section of your GoToWebinar interface. Check out all of their website and social media here, of course.
Sorry, the point about children should not have all the fun. I will say that there isn't an age restriction on necessarily the walking tours, but our adult field trips are strictly 18 and older.
Yeah, of course. Good. And there is Kelly's contact email as well. Yes, I do have a question. I love the logo there. The books are just the beginning for your library. But what's with the dog? Is that something?
So
related?
Our typical logo does not include the dog. There's actually a book that's open at the bottom.
Okay.
But every August we celebrate the Dog Days of Summer, where we usually partner with the Humane Society and feature dogs that are available for adoption.
Nice. And
our wonderful social media person adjusts our logo when she can. So this one is just my favorite rendition.
I love that little wiener dog there. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. I don't see any other questions coming in. Let's see here. Actually, something. Okay, it's not a question, but a comment about the Planning with Purpose. And you had mentioned how it was very popular, and they mentioned that that is the baby boomer generation, one of our largest groups. They are getting to that age. That's my parents' age, and they're getting into this. We need to start thinking about this. So yeah, that's going to be a huge topic for a lot of them at their age, and us as, like you said, their caregivers. Yeah. Having to help them, guide them or assist them through the process of whatever they may need to do.
I definitely learned a lot of beneficial information prior. My mom passed at the end of 2024, so
Sorry to
I
hear.
felt a lot more set up about what I needed to expect once that time came.
That's good to think about. All right. All right. I think we'll wrap things up. If nobody has any other desperate last minute questions right now, that's fine. We had a lot of great conversation here today, and you all can always, of course, reach out to Kelly at any time
Please.
in the future. Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. I am going to attempt to pull presenter control back to my screen. There we go. Perfect. And then wrap things up. So thank you so much, Claire. This was great information, lots of great ideas. I hope a lot of libraries do take some of what you've done and recreate it in their communities. We've got some people doing applause for you on the reactions in the software as well. So yes, this is a great. All right. So so hearts and clapping. Love that.
Love it.
All right. So thank you. And thank you, everybody, for being with us here today. As I said, the show is recorded and being recorded right now. And if you use whatever is your search engine of choice and type in NCompass Live, the name of our show, you will find our main page, which is here with our upcoming shows, and our archive page. But that is also linked right here underneath whatever we have upcoming in our schedule, linked to our archives. So this is where today's recording will go. Most recent ones always go at the top of the page. By the end of the day tomorrow at the latest, I should have everything up, as long as GoToWebinar and YouTube cooperate with me. I already have Kelly's slides, so we've got those good and ready to go. Everyone who attended today's show and registered for today's show get an email from me letting you know when the recording is available. We also push that out to our social media. Well, we have mailing lists here in Nebraska for our Nebraska libraries, but we also do have a Facebook page for NCompass Live. So if you like to use Facebook, give us a like. We post reminders. Here's a reminder about today's show, meet our presenters, and then when the recordings are available, I do post them on here as well. We use the hashtag, little abbreviation of our show name, NComp Live. I also push information out onto the Library Commission's blog and Instagram account, and my LinkedIn. So anywhere where we can push out information about it, you'll hear when we've got new shows coming up and when the recordings are ready. While we're here on the archive page, I will show you there is a search feature. So if you want to do a search and see if we've done a show on a particular topic that you may be interested in, you can do that. It's just kind of a general keyword search. You can search our full show archives or just most recent 12 months if you want just current things. That is because this is our full show archives, and you can kind of see this little scroll bar here. I'm not going to scroll all the way down because, as you can see, this is a very long page. But this goes back to when NCompass Live first premiered, which was in January 2009. So this is the 18th year of NCompass Live. Hey, we're an adult. Yeah. Anyway, but we have our full show archives here because this is something that libraries do. We keep things for historical purposes, and as long as we have a place to host them, which right now is the Library Commission's YouTube channel, we always have them out there available for you. But just do pay attention to the original broadcast date if you ever do watch any of our older shows. They all have the specific date when they first went live, and some of them will be fine to use, great, still good resources. Stand the test of time and good to use, but some things will become old and outdated. Resources may have changed drastically, might not exist anymore. Links might be broken. People will work in different places when they presented for us 10, 15 years ago. So just pay attention to that date if you are watching any of our show archives, but they will always be up there for you if you ever want to see what was done in the past. All right, so that is for today's show. Here's our upcoming schedule for the next couple of months. Next week, we will have, it is a Nebraska specific program, but anyone is, as I said, the show is open to anyone. Anyone is free to attend if you want to learn about what we do here. We have a One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens program in Nebraska. Many states or communities have one book for One Book Nebraska, one book whatever city. Our coordinator of Children and Young Adult Library Services, Sally Snyder, does selections for kids, children, and teens. So she and Bailey, who is our new assistant, who's working with her on this, are going to be talking about our titles, how the program works, what it's all about, and the titles that have been selected for this year. 2026. So please do sign up and join us to learn about our One Book for Nebraska Kids and Teens program next week, and any of our other shows we have coming up throughout the next few months. So thank you everybody again for being here. Thanks so much, Kelly. Good to see you. And hopefully we'll see you all in a future episode of NCompass Live. Bye-bye.